everyone, this is Barbara. Today I am sharing with you a long overdue tutorial on how I achieve the white borders on my Pocket Page photos. This is hands down the #1 question that I get asked each time I post a Pocket Page spread on Instagram. And I've been talking for a while now about how I was going to do this tutorial. So today I just decided to sit down and record it. So it was done. So the first thing I want to mention is that I do this type of cropping and editing from within Photoshop Elements. I'm using Photoshop Elements 12. You can probably do the same tutorial or achieve the same look with an older version, a newer version, or even straight Photoshop. I'm sure it's going to look the same. A lot of people do ask me on occasion if I use an app in order to get the white borders on my photos, and I don't. Every single photo edit, crop, print, whatever I do digitally on my Pocket Page spreads comes from Photoshop Elements. I don't use apps. I don't print from my phone. I don't do any of that. So unfortunately, I can't help you there, but I can at least show you how to do it from within the environment of Photoshop. So the first thing you will notice, I do want to say here that the border on these photos is super big, and this is something I've done over the last couple of years. I used to use a narrower border, and then I cropped it to be a little bit larger, and I like how it looks thicker. But I will show you how it looks a little bit smaller too. So I'll show you both, and you can decide which one you like best. So let's get started. The first thing I do in order to create a photo is I go up and I say File, New, Blank File, and then I want the width to be 3, the height to be 4, and the resolution to be 300 pixels. And then I hit OK. And this gives me a nice clean backing for my photo. The next thing I do is I open up the photo, and this is a photo that's straight out of my phone. It has been edited with PicTapGo, but this is the photo that I'm working with. And as you can see, it's super, super big. So what I do is I go down to the crop tool. I say no restriction. I change the width to 2.5. And I change the height to 3.5. And that's going to give me a nice thick border around the photo. And then always make sure you change the resolution to 300 pixels per inch, just so you have a nice, bright, clear, crisp photo. And then you'll see that the little crop tool comes up, and then you just decide how you want to crop your photo. You can do the whole photo, and then that's just going to shrink it down. But as you can see, the ratio of the photo is a little bit off for a 3x4, and you're going to have this blank space. So what you do is you just slide. I'm using my cursor to just move the box around until I'm happy. I might decide I want to crop it a little bit tighter so I can pull down the corner arrows, pull down the corner arrows. Just make sure you don't pull from the side, because that's going to change the size of your photo. If you only use the corners, you'll make sure you're always getting it to be 2.5 by 3.5. And then once you're happy with how it looks, you just click the green check, and there's your photo. And then what you do is you go up here to the Move tool, come down here to the photo bin, and make sure that you can see your blank sheet down here, and then just click and drag, and bam, it places it right in the middle of your 3x4 backing sheet that you created. Now, I never find that I have to fix it. It's always right in the middle. But if you find that you slide it over and you hit too quickly on the mouse cursor and it's not in the center, all you have to do is click on both and highlight both layers here, and then go down to the toolbox, the tool options for the Move tool, and click center and middle, and it will realign your photo. And there you have it. So then if you wanted to do one with a thinner border, you would basically do the same thing. You say File, New, Blank Page. You want it to be 3x4. And then you go to your next photo, and you select the crop tool. And here, instead of 2.5, I'm going to say 2 3/4, because I only want it to be a 1/4 inch border all the way around. And since we're going with 3x4, it would be 2 3/4. And then this would be 3.75. And then you want to leave your resolution at 600. And then when you crop it, you basically do the same thing. Move it around until you're happy with how it looks. Click the green check. Go up to your Move tool and slide it onto your 3x4. And you see how this border is narrower compared to this border. Both the same idea. They both look fine. They're both going to look good in your Pocket Pages. It's just a personal preference. I will say when you use the narrower border, you get a little bit more width on your photo. So when you're using this much of a border, it's going to be narrow. So I've noticed, like for selfies, when I take them of me and my family, sometimes a lot of it gets cropped because my arms are only so long and I can only get so far back. So in that instance, if you need a little bit more width, you might want to crop them with just a 1/4 inch border instead of the 1/2 inch border, if that makes sense. So once I'm done, I have my 2 photos, they're cropped and they're on the back. What I then do is I go up and I say File, New, blank file, and this time I want the width to be 6 inches because this is going to be my sheet of photo paper. So here I have my 6x4 piece of photo paper. I click on each photo, grab both layers. I never merge my layers. That's something that I just don't do in Photoshop Elements because I find that once you merge down your layers, you can never unmerge them and then you can never change and modify. So I always leave my layers. So if you end up having a digital element on this photo, let's do that right now. Just say add some text so you can see real quickly what I'm talking about. You want to make sure that you grab all of the layers. So say I wanted to add some text on this picture. Make it white so you can see it. And then change the size. I mean, this isn't something that I would actually do, but I want to give you an idea. So if you have a photo that has the back, the photo, and then a digital element or text, you want to make sure that you grab all 3 layers. So you click on the top, hold down the Shift key, click on the bottom, go up here to your Remove tool, make sure your page is here, and then you just slide it down. Now, the reason I created the backing sheet is once you slide it onto the 6x4, you can see the border. If I just slid the photo, I would have to guesstimate what was in the middle and where I was on the page and if I had the right spacing. So that's why I create this back layer. So now that it's on there, all I have to do is use my arrow keys to slide it over, or just click and drag the whole thing and slide it and then let go. And now you can see your borders. And then you can do the same thing for this photo. Click both layers, drag it on, and move it over. And even if you get it off, you can use the guides of your backing sheet to make sure, your backing layer, I should say, you can make sure that you're getting it even. So now if I did a view, if I placed a line down the middle, you'll see, oops, wrong measurement, 3 inch, not 4. That is the exact middle of a 6x4 piece of photo paper, 3 inches, 3 inches. So now you can see that my layers are right where they need to be. So when I print out this sheet, all I have to do is take it to my trimmer and slice it down the middle, and I am good to go. There is another way that you could achieve this, and that's by creating yourself a template. And this is perfectly fine. It's definitely easy. This is just something that I don't typically like to do because I like to have the freedom of going in and cropping the photo exactly the way I want to do it. It's just personal preference, but let me show you how to do it if you create a template. And in order to create this template, all I did is I did this basically the same thing. I have a backing layer, I have my 3x4s here, and then I have my 2.5 by 3.5 blocks, and it's laid out and it's perfectly centered. Because if you go down here and do if you view the guide, you'll see that these photos are exactly in the middle. So basically what I've done is create clipping masks for a template. So what you would want to do is you go up here and onto shape 1, you grab your photo and you drag it onto the template, and see, it's going to bring it in really large because the photo is really large. So this is why I don't like it, because I feel like I'm wasting too much time like sliding it down, putting it in the middle, adjusting how it's going to look, and then once you get it where you think you like it, you say yes, and then you go up here and you click this photo to this shape, and by doing that, you run your cursor in between the 2 layers, you press the Alt key until you get that little circle symbol, and you click, and that clips that photo to that shape. And then you can further edit it by clicking here and clicking and dragging and moving it around and you can do all of that type of stuff. So it works. I just find it to be a little bit more labor intensive. But if clipping masks and this kind of edit works for you, then by all means do it that way. Create yourself a template, save it to your computer, open it, and just, there you go. You've got 2 pictures on a 4x6. But my go-to jam is to crop, click, slide, put it on the sheet, and I can do this so quickly. I can do 2 photos in a matter of minutes, and that is really typically my process. Is I decide what photos are going to go in what pocket. I open the photos, I edit them, crop them, put them on sheets, and get them all ready to go, and then print everything out, cut them down the middle, slide them in the pocket, and then I do the rest of the spread. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. If you're familiar with Photoshop, I think you'll find this tutorial pretty straightforward and basic. Oh, one thing I should mention when you're printing, I'm going to do that really quickly. When you go to print, you need to make sure this is currently set up to print on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and obviously this is a little bit too small. So I want to make sure that you know to make sure you select borderless when you print. So in order to do that, you hit change settings on your printer. Every printer is probably going to be different, but it's the same basic concept. And then you're going to find the advanced settings somewhere. I'm using a Canon printer, so if you have a Canon printer, this is what it's going to look like. And you need to make sure you're selecting photo printer, and then you need to go up here and say page setup. And then you need to make sure your photo paper size is correct, 4x6. And you want to click this button that's borderless, and you want to change this amount of extension, and you want to slide it all the way over and hit OK, and then hit OK. Come on. And now you will see that it is printing border to border, and there will be no expansion or contraction of your photo. It's going to be exactly like what you see here on your screen. So make sure when you print, you definitely want to hit borderless. So I think that wraps it up. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Leave a comment below and I will respond. But that is, in all intents and purposes, how I create the white borders on my photos. So I hope you find it helpful. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you soon.